Okay, so welcome to the Node.js benchmarking workgroup meeting for May 28, 2019. Today we have myself, Gabriel, Udom, and Octavian. We'll follow our standard agenda, which is, first of all, does anybody have any announcements they'd like to share? I guess if not, I guess the only thing I will mention is the Collaborator Summit's happening later this week, so there'll be a number of people talking about all stuff Node.js when we get together. If there's anything sort of related to benchmarking, I can bring that back to the next meeting. I don't know, Gabriel, are you planning to be there too? Gabriel, you're on mute if you're trying to talk. But
oh, sorry. Yeah. I'd love to, but unfortunately I can't. I'm still settling in here, so
okay,
going on.
Okay, so yeah, I'll bring back if there's anything interesting in terms of benchmarking. Okay, so we can move on to the single thing that's actually tagged for agenda, which is investigate the time taken and number of benchmarks in core. And there's one other thing we should probably talk about, at least unless anybody else, but let's go through this one. So I think, was it Udom or Octavian who was looking at that one? I can't remember.
Yeah, we talked about last time, Octavian will look at some of the, I think, so few benchmarks from buffer and maybe few more we can add into the list of things we want to run nightly basis.
Right. Anything interesting to report on that front, or?
Octavian, is there any update?
No, not from my side. No. I didn't do anything in this. No, sorry.
Okay. The one thing I will mention is there was a PR, and I think it's still open, was discussed in the TSC to try and remove a bunch of benchmarks.
Yeah.
So there's been quite a bit of discussion back and forth on that. So if you have any thoughts or have any suggestions on what would be useful to move that forward, you know, it'd be good to chime in on there. It's sort of balancing off, like, you know, something that people will usefully run versus having, you know, a comprehensive set.
I don't know about the removing of any benchmark, but I do have one thing I noticed in the, especially for the buffer one.
I think that the attempt that's there is they try and run them a whole bunch of times, and that's part of the reason they run so long, is that you know, they're never run once, they're run I don't know how many times, but quite a lot of times to try and get rid of the variation. If pinning to a single core is a better way to do that, that would actually be quite interesting.
Because they are single threaded one. There are no, we don't create any threads there. So I think that, okay.
So yeah, I know if you've discovered that the pinning actually makes it more recreatable and more, that actually sounds quite interesting. Now, what I don't know is if I assume we don't try and run them in parallel or anything either.
No. So you go in a sequence, yeah. When you run the node benchmark run.js, I think you kind of go in a sequence.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think that would actually be an interesting thing. And I guess any other ideas we can come up with in terms of, like, my thought was kind of can we have two sets? Like, okay, here's the exhaustive set if you have a whole bunch of time and can run them for a long period, and here's the subset that we'd actually expect people to run when they're doing a check-in or something, right? That might make sense if you could usefully get along the same thing that we were thinking. Like, if you can run them some subset nightly, that at least makes it practical. Similarly, if like in the regression runs, you could have something which is reasonable to run versus what today, you know, people just don't run them at all.
Yeah, now I remembered, since you mentioned, we did talk about that maybe once a month we can run the whole set.
Yep.
And then we can have a subset which we run maybe nightly basis.
Yeah,
I think that's where we stopped last time.
Yep.
Yeah,
okay.
and
go ahead.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't had much time to look into that, like how the system is recording benchmark results. And honestly, I'm not sure if I'm the right person to take that on, because I'm quite busy with all the stuff that I'm doing now. So I don't know whom we can find to do that. I don't think I'll have time to look into that much in the near future, because it's a fairly big task, right? And Yeah,
Yeah,
and as
definitely
soon as
take some dedicated time to think about it,
Yeah.
understand what the benchmarks are, and then come up with like a proposal for how you come up with something that's going to be different and useful.